A few years back, Muay Thai legend Lerdsila came to my gym for a seminar and then some friendly sparring. And it went about like this. That didn't sit quite right with me, so I invited him over for a second round. In today's video, we're once again going to take a look at my sparring with Lerdsila. We're going to see what I improved upon, what I can still improve upon, and see what tactics we can steal from him. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to subscribe and you have notifications turned on, and let's get started. So based on how my first video went, when I walked into this round, there were a few things that I had in mind. I noticed the first time we sparred, I was a little timid. I was depending on Lerdsila to lead the pace, and I was kind of counter heavy, maybe to my detriment. So this time around, I'm hoping to be a little more pressure heavy, hopefully get him on the back foot. Speaking of pace, the other thing that I wanted to work on was pushing the pace myself. I noticed last time there was a lot of moving around, and there were quick exchanges and then separating. This time I wanted us to get in there and get after it. Not necessarily stand and bang, but I didn't want him to be able to take a breather either. I wanted to make sure he knew that I was in front of him. Thirdly, I wanted to be a little less karate kick heavy. My instinct is to throw stuff like side kicks, hook kicks, jump back kicks. That's kind of what I like to do, but that's not necessarily the sport of Muay Thai. It's allowed, but it's not what we're here to do. So this time around, I was trying to incorporate a lot more of my hands and low kicks. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at this sparring. Once again, Lerdsila opens the round exactly the way he did the first time, with a slow left kick just to see how I'm gonna react. Hopefully this time he saw a different reaction, one that he wouldn't be able to capitalize on quite as much. Now here's a tactic I really enjoy. Using my hands to get someone's guard up so I can find a free shot. Especially when you're dealing with someone as fast and elusive as Lerdsila, if you're not putting something in his face, he's gonna find a way around you. So in this case, I'm throwing a lot of double jabs and jab hooks to the head to keep him shelled up like this. So at best, I can find shots to the body, and at a minimum, I can keep him throwing those super fast kicks at me. Another thing that I wanted to focus on was eating one to give two or give three. Based on our first round of sparring, it was kind of a 1-for-1 exchange. He hit me once, I would try to hit him once. This time I was trying to keep the score up in my favor. So if he tagged me with a kick, I wanted to give him two. So one thing you may have noticed is that Lerdsila and I are built pretty similarly. We're basically the exact same height, and our limbs have more or less the same proportions. What the difference is here is the way we're standing. I wish I had rolled my head forward the way Lerdsila is doing here. That presents a smaller target in the head and allows you to be a little more fluid with the upper body, which is a big advantage for him. Now, even though we're not going hard in this sparring session, we're still keeping it intense. Obviously, there's a lot of movement happening here, but more than anything, Lerdsila is actually throwing his strikes. He's not just putting his leg out there and casually trying to hit me. This looks like it should do some real damage. They're light, but they're not lazy. The consequence of that is that when I see him throw something, I'm aware that I have to defend it. Because if somebody kind of casually puts their leg or their hand out at you, you're not gonna put too much effort into defending yourself. But if they look like they're gonna try to take your head off, you're gonna defend yourself appropriately. Now, this is a good way to use light sparring to inform hard fighting, but it's also a tactic someone like Lerdsila can use to their benefit. He's tricking me by pretending he's gonna hit me where he's not. Now here's one of my favorite exchanges with Lerdsila. I throw my double jab and Lerdsila is nowhere to be seen. Now, it might look like he's just got very good reactive head movement and he's able to move his head at the last minute, but I'm not totally convinced that's what's happening here. Because the first level of defense is being able to react to your opponent's strike. But that's only the first level. A step above that is being able to predict your opponent's strike, knowing what they're gonna throw before they even throw it. And it's this and the next level up, which is forcing your opponent to throw a strike, that makes Lerdsila so effective and so elusive. Because he's not reacting to the strikes you're throwing, he's predicting what strikes you're going to throw are going to be. And when you can do that, you know which way you need to move to not be there. Following up from that, not only did he evade my strikes entirely, he took from the Bruce Lee Kajukenbo book and launched himself forward with a straight left. Now, this is not a jab. His back foot is pretty much entirely off the ground, much the way it would be when you throw a straight left. This is a picture-perfect version of the Bruce Lee straight lead. Here we're playing kind of a top-down game. I throw a punch to his head, he throws a kick to my leg. I kick to the leg, he punches to the head. We're kind of avoiding the body, trying to see who's gonna be more elusive. This is why I love sparring this person so much, because while I'm not at all saying he and I are on the same level, we have very similar styles. We like to hit and not be hit. We like to be just in the range where you think you might get us, but you're not going to. It's always such an honor getting to see someone who has mastered the thing you think you're good at. And even though we've only spent 6 minutes total trading hands, every time I've learned so much from him. I'm laughing, but rest assured I was kind of annoyed. Now comes my favorite moment in this whole damn thing. The last time Lerdsila and I sparred, I landed a clean side kick to his face. Whether he let me do that or not is irrelevant because the fact is, it happened. However, if you're gonna do something again, you have to do it better. And I realized I couldn't get away with throwing just a side kick. I had to do something cooler. Now, this kick didn't land, but to my credit, I will say that I slowed it down so that I didn't land my heel into the face of one of the greatest fighters of all time. My goal isn't to turn this into a fight, my goal is to have some friendly sparring. But again, credit where credit's due. Lerdsila is still Lerdsila, so he probably was gonna get out of the way anyway. But the fact remains, that kick still threw him backwards into the ropes, even if it didn't end up landing. My only wish was that I'd continued it up with a spinning roundhouse kick, which would have been awesome, but whatever, it's a friendly match. Here's another tactic I like to rely on a lot, the switch uppercut and the switch hook. By switching forward into the opposite stance, it makes it very hard for your opponent to read what you're gonna do next. But as you can see here, if I don't commit to throwing those strikes, I end up just planting myself in front of him to set him up for a free punch to the face. However, in anyone who's not Lerdsila, it's a very effective tactic. Here's what's fun about Lerdsila. He's a showman. When anybody else will decide to turn it up, they get in a good tight guard and you know the fight is on. But for Lerdsila, when he decides it's time to really start fighting, he loosens up. He relaxes even more. He's trying to get you to get angry. He's trying to get you to chase after him, which is what's happening here. However, what he doesn't know is that's my game too. While this isn't the most interesting thing of all time, I decided at this point it's time to start sniping. One leg kick at a time, one punch at a time. Just stay as far away as possible while still landing as many strikes as possible. Now, there's no question that Lerdsila is one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters of all time. That's the sport he competed in, that's what he trained for. But, not to sound like Jesse Enkamp, but to me he's also the epitome of what karate should look like. If the staples of karate style fighting are staying just out of range of your opponent, making them think they can hit you when they can't, keeping your hands down low, using a darting in and out style of footwork, and fluidly transitioning from the left to the right stance, that's pretty much Lerdzila's style of fighting. So, to me, while this is clearly Muay Thai, it's also clearly karate. So that was my second sparring round with Lerdsila. Personally, I think I did pretty good, at least compared to last time. I pushed the pace a lot more and I kept my hands a lot more active, which is ultimately what I was looking for. I want to make sure I work on keeping my chin tucked and my head movement a little more fluid, and I'd like to see myself be a little more bouncy with my legs. Standing the way I do, I tend to get pretty flat-footed and then I have to explode chase after my opponent. I'd like to be a little more fluid as I'm throwing my punches, but that's just me. All in all, this was a lot of fun and I think I did pretty good. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you see improvement from the last round to this one? What are some things you'd like to see me work on? Ultimately, guys, I'm showing off my sparring footage to see how I can improve myself as a martial artist. So hit me with your best shot. However, if you tell me some bullshit like I need to go take American Kempo, get out of here. All that being said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. If you did, please make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please, please, please make sure to turn on your notifications button because not enough of you guys are doing that. All that being said, and as always, this has been Rob from Combat Self-Defense. I want to thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for the hard work yet to be done, and I'll see you next time.